Okay, welcome back. I'm going to continue my 32 and 32 with the Los Angeles Rams. I was going through all my videos last night and I realized that, holy crap, I did not do a review on the Rams as I was making my way closer to the top four teams of the NFL. So I figured I might as well get this video out of the way and then I will post my next video right after this. So the Los Angeles Rams are coming off of a Super Bowl hangover to say the least. Obviously, they won the championship back in 2021-22 season, and this past season, they absolutely their train just came right off the rails, to say the least. Injuries, inconsistency, you name it. This team just definitely did not look like they were definitely a shell of themselves, to say the least. They finished the season with a 5-12 record, and when you can look at their streak, they lost their last two games of the season. But at that point, it didn't really matter. Their season was lost basically halfway through the year. They had 9 home games that they played, and they had 4 wins and 5 losses at home. Not terrible, but when you look at their road record, it was not favorable to them at all. They only had 1 road victory and 7 road losses. So basically, the season pretty much killed them whenever they went on the road. And when it came to playing against their division foes, they fared extremely poor. They only finished with a 1-5 record. So to say that the season was a disappointment would be a major understatement. I'll take a look at their stats with the team, and then I will go over the additions and subtractions for said Rams. Okay, so they went through quite a quarterback carousel, to say the least. I'm just going to wait for my video to get a little bit more in focus. So, like I said, they started off with Matt Stafford. He finished the year with 2,087 yards, 206 attempts out of 303. Sorry, 206 completions, I do apologize. Out of 303 attempts, 10 touchdowns to 8 picks. Then they also had John Wolford come in. He threw for 390 yards, 38 completions out of 62 attempts, 1 touchdown to 3 picks. And then they also had Bryce Perkins come in. He had a grand total of 161 yards, 19 of 34, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. And towards the end of the season, they needed someone to try to compete, I guess, if you want to say that, at the quarterback position. So they made a trade with the Carolina Panthers and acquired Baker Mayfield to finish off the season for the Rams. And he finished with 2,163 yards total. But this is between the Panthers and the Rams. 201 attempts out of 335 attempts, 10 touchdowns to 8 picks. So, like I said, they had about 4 different quarterbacks playing behind center, and between the 4 of them, they weren't able to get enough consistency. Cam Akers, the back end, had 188 carries for 786 yards and 7 touchdowns. Kyron Williams had 35 carries for 139 yards. Bryce Perkins, the quarterback, he didn't throw much, but he sure ran the ball quite a lot. He had 19 carries for 90 yards. Baker Mayfield had 31 carries for 89 yards and a touchdown. Malcolm Brown had 18 attempts for 81 yards and a touchdown. Brandon Powell had 17 attempts for 80 yards. Cooper Kupp had 9 attempts for 52 yards and a score. Tutu Atwell had 9 attempts for 34 yards and a touchdown. John Wolford had 8 carries for 32 yards. Ronnie Rivers had 9 carries for 21. Ben Schornick had 1 carry for 17 yards. Matt Stafford had 13 carries for 9 yards total and a touchdown. And that's pretty much it for the rushing yards. When it comes to the reception, no shock that Cooper Kupp had the most receiving yards, even though he was injured towards the end of the year. Had 75 catches for 812 yards and 6 touchdowns. Tyler Higbee, the tight end, had 72 catches for 620 yards and 3 touchdowns. Ben Schornick had 39 catches for 376 yards. Van Jefferson had 24 catches for 369 yards and 3 touchdowns. Allen Robertson II had 33 catches for 339 yards and 3 touchdowns as well. Tutu Atwell had 18 catches for 298 yards and 1 score. Brandon Powell had 24 catches for 156 yards. Cam Akers had 13 catches for 117 yards. Bryson Hopkins had 7 catches for 109 yards. Kyron Williams had 9 catches for 76 yards. Malcolm Brown had 5 catches for 37 yards. Ronnie Rivers had 5 catches for 29 yards. And to finish off, Jacob Harris only had 1 catch for 6. So they didn't have any major acquisitions when it came to the offseason, but they did have quite a few subtractions. So Jalen Ramsey, the cornerback, he's now taken his talents to the AFC East, and he will be joining the Miami Dolphins. So I'm just going to get this, just go back in here. Hopefully it can stay in somewhat in focus. And then the other 2 losses were Bobby Wagner. He left Seattle to join the Rams. It wasn't that successful. He's now rejoined the Seattle Seahawks. There's no place like home. And then Leonard Floyd, the linebacker, he has now signed with the Buffalo Bills. So going into the 2023-2024 season, I believe the Rams have an uphill to climb, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. Like I said, after suffering from a Super Bowl hangover, I believe it's going to be hard for them to get back into contention. I truly believe the 49ers have the NFC West hands down. The Seahawks could easily come in second place in that division. The Cardinals are kind of spiraling out of control. They're not sure what they're doing, if they're doing a rebuild, especially with Kyler Murray at the helm. You'd hate to waste his talent and all those years if you are doing a rebuild. And when it comes to the Rams, again, can they be consistent? Can the health is health going to play another factor with this upcoming season? They should finish at least third in that division, but when it comes to going into the postseason, I have very low hopes for the Rams. It's sad to say, like I said, they just came off the Super Bowl from the 2021-2022 season. So for a team to fall that far from grace is pretty hard to believe. But like I said, injuries do happen, players leave, and inconsistency can definitely play a major factor into how your team goes forward. So my prediction for this upcoming season is that Los Angeles Rams will be on the outside looking in when it comes to the postseason. Thank you all for tuning in as always. Until next time, take care.